Thanks for joining us today. I am excited to be here with Scott and Tom is going to speak to us about his business, Lyon Graphic Design. And just right off the bat, before we get started, what I'd like to do is just to have Scott and Tom introduce themselves. By the way, I'm Jess, if you don't recognize me.
Hi, Jess. Thank you. I'll get the ball rolling. My name is Scott, and I'm from the Scott Treatment. My contact with Tom is that he is our fearless leader for a networking group we have called I Take the Lead. Week after week, the information that we receive about each other really gets us to know businesses and each other really, really well. I have to say that I have just grown to like and respect Tom, not only by the way that he leads the group, but also the work that he does and what he brings to the table. If you could go ahead and just give us a little bit of an elevator speech so that you can fill in our viewing audience a little bit of what Jess and I already know about you.
Well, thank you, Scott, for that introduction. Networking has been a really important tool for me in trying to get my name out there. And what I do for a living, I'm a freelance graphic and web designer. I'm also tagging on user experience expert to my title because I keep getting told that the service I provide is unique user experience as well as the visual and the graphic design or web design. I've been in business since 2005, full-time that is. I've been actually involved with graphic design since the late 80s when I was doing things by hand. Back then you didn't have computers and you were doing things on boards and line art and things like that. So it's been kind of an evolution for me. So basically, in my web design part of my business, I began in 2007. And the way I promote my business, as Scott has already pointed out, I join a lot of networking groups and get to know people and build relationships that are strong and lasting.
So what are three things that set you apart from other people in the industry? Because graphics design and web design is a pretty big industry.
Right, it is, especially in Seattle. Seattle's a very techie town, and there's a lot of graphic and web designers here, as well as programmers. I try to set myself apart from the rest of the crowd by giving my client personal attention. I'm a very strong believer in communication. It's a very important piece of designing for a client, whether it's print material or whether it's website design. There needs to be open communication between me, the designer, and the client. They need to know about me, and I need to know about them. That just enhances the user experience for them. And they're always involved in every step of the process, whether we're designing a logo or whether we're designing a website. They're involved from beginning to end.
Is there an element or two that you look for in the connection with your clients that will help you have that pivotal point for success?
Yes, and there again, it hinges on the communication piece because design, especially if you're designing a logo for a company, it's actually creating a visual identity for them. And it's important that they understand that.
So what part of that process is the part that makes you get excited to get out of bed every day?
The whole process gets me excited. And if the client is excited about it, that even makes it more, it gives more life to the project. It's a living, breathing thing that both myself and the client is participating in, and we're building it together. I'm there to guide them, to educate them, and to make a visual representation of whatever they're trying to communicate. And that gets me excited about graphic design as a whole. It's just an extension, for me anyway, it's an extension of my fine art, and that's excitable for me too. So this first slide is an actual website for Gordian Compliance Solutions, a small financial service organization in San Francisco. So we actually started off with their logo design. Gordian represents the Gordian knot, which in Greek mythology was a knot that couldn't be untied. Alexander the Great found a way to do that. He took his sword and he cut the knot in half. Sort of a representation of finding solutions to things that seem impossible. And that's the model that this financial service organization has. So we worked that idea into the knot and the sword, and that led to creating other marketing materials for them. This next site is a a site for a fine artist and mural painter here in Seattle, Lisa DeWild. And she had been working for over a year on redeveloping her website. She came to me in complete frustration. She had wasted all this money in almost a year, and she still hadn't got the site she wanted. We got to talking. I told her what I could do for her, and she hired me, and this is what we came up with within 3 months. This next site was a site for a bed and breakfast in Massachusetts. So we actually created a site that showcased this 1890s colonial style B&B. Every page on this site has a large image or several images of the interior or the exterior of this home, because that's the selling point of this old home. It's beautiful inside and out. We created this probably within 3 months, I believe it was. He was also very happy with this. This is another website done a couple years ago for a wedding videographer. So we recreated this using images that we got from weddings that he had done, and created a site that I believe and he believes would attract more of the clientele he was after, which are prospective brides. It was a fun site to work with. I'm creating a membership website for genealogists who are historians and want to create websites to showcase their research. And the logo represents an open book with a family tree growing out of it, representing the title, Our Family Storybook.
What are the questions that people should ask their graphics designer when they're going through the interview process to avoid common frustrations and pitfalls?
You don't want to work with a designer who is not willing to share things about himself, whether it's the work that he's done or a little bit about his own history. You want someone who's got the experience that you need to complete your project. And because it's a graphic design situation or a web development situation, you want to make sure not only that they have the experience, but they have the talent. And some designers have different styles, and you want to make sure that that designer has the style that fits your needs as well. So check out their website. Check out other designers' websites. That's what the internet's for. Go out there and do your research first, and narrow it down to several designers that you think would fit the profile that you think you need for your job.
Thank you, Jess, and thank you, Tom. We're going to have to wrap things up now, and we'll end with some contact information for anyone who would be interested in Lyon graphic design. Thanks for joining us, and see you next time.